Heerlen is a city and a municipality in the southeast of the Netherlands. It is the third largest settlement proper in the province of Limburg. Measured as a municipality, it is the fourth municipality in the province of Limburg. Currently, Heerlen is known for its art scene, struggle with rising poverty and crime, and let's not forget the music scene. But how did Heerlen develop over the centuries? Let's find out. The history of Heerlen goes back to the Roman times. In the Middle Ages, it was a fairly insignificant settlement. Due to coal mining, the village of Heerlen grew explosively. In the first half of the 20th century, becoming the second city of the Dutch Limburg and the center of the eastern mining region. In Roman times, although there were traces of previous habitation, the history of settlements in Heerlen only began with the arrival of Romans. They founded a military settlement there 2000 years ago, which they called Coriovellum. The settlement arose at the insertion of two important highways, Boulogne-Cologne and Xanthi-Aachen-Trier. According to some etymologists, the Roman name used in the recent centuries is the result of a spelling error, and the correct name is Cortovellum. As stated as the Puttinger map is then means fortified court. According to others, the spelling on the Puttinger map is a copying error. The Romans built a bathhouse here, the remains of which can be viewed in the Thermal Museum. There was a lot of pottery making. For example, the name of the oldest known inhabitant of Coriovellum has been preserved because he wrote his name on his own pottery, Lucius Verenius. Middle Ages. Around the 10th century, agriculture developed well throughout Europe, and the Heerlen took shape from the emergence of farms and mills along the valleys of the Kaumer, Schandeler and Geleenbeek. The oldest written mention of Heerlen or Heerlen is indeed from 1065. Odo, Bishop of Tuil, records several donations. One of those donations concerns the Allodium Heerlen in the Diocese of Liège. Another concern some chapels located in Heerlen and Welten, part of the mother church in Voerendaal, much later, the Allodium Heerlen, is in the possession of the Counts of Aar, Hoogstaden, Burg-Aaren. Dirk First van Aar, a cousin of Odo van Tuil, ecclesiastically separated Heerlen from Voerendaal and chose St. Pancratius as church patron. The Counts of Aar were the builders of the Schelmentoren around the 12th and 13th century, and the Pancratius Church around the 11th century, and they had a moated fortress built with a rampart around 1274, later referred to as Land Fort Heerlen. This reinforcement gave Heerlen some public law freedoms, giving it a different status from the surrounding countryside. Voerendaal, Hoensbroek, Schaasberg and Nieuwe Hagen belonged to the administrative land of Heerlen. In 1244, Heerlen came under the authority of the Dukes of Brabant. In the second half of the 14th century, it became part of the land of Valkenburg. Hoensbroek was split off from Heerlen in 1388 and transferred as a lordship to the Lords of Hoensbroek. In the 15th and the 16th century, it was part of a line of forts built up by the Brabant Burgundy. This line of force was intended to counter the expansionist urge of the princes from the Rhinelands. For the second time in its history, Heerlen played a role as a military post. Early modern period. Schaasberg was given an independent jurisdiction in 1619 under the Count of Schaasberg at the Peace of Munster in 1648. The land of Valkenburg was not yet divided between Spain and the new Republic of the United Netherlands. Only in 1616, 13 years after the end of the 80 Years' War, in the Portage Treaty Heerlen, Nieuwe Hagen and Voerendaal were assigned to the Staat Overmaas, while Schaasberg and Hoensbroek were assigned to the Spanish Netherlands. Buildings such as the Weltermolen, Oliemolen, Schandelermolen, Eikenmolen, Kaumermolen, all water mills, the Worm Castle and Huis de Dome dated from this century. In 1793, the French put an end to the fragmentation of the country. They conquered Heerlen, and in 1795, the States General finally ceded the area to France. Modern history, 19th century. In 1814, Heerlen became part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. However, during the Belgian uprising in 1830, it joined the Kingdom of Belgium, only to return to the Dutch authorities in 1839. In the 19th century, Heerlen was a fairly isolated village. The main means of subsistence was agriculture, and there were no good supply and drainage roads. If one wanted to travel by train, one first had to walk to Simpelveld. The Agen-Maastricht railway line opened in 1853, or Sittard-Maastricht-Venlo railway line opened in 1865 to take the train there. One could also go by mail truck to Valkenburg, Sittard or Aachen. It was not until 1896 that the Sittard-Herzogenrath railway line via Heerlen was established, which was constructed by the railway builder Henry Sorelea, who would later manage the Oranje-Nassau mines with their brothers Karl and Friedrich Honigmann. That railway line was urgently needed in connection with the exploitation of coal. In 1894, construction of the Oranje-Nassau mine in 1899-1974 has already begun, which went into production 5 years later. 20th century. 3 more mines were built on Heerlen's territory in the 20th century. The Oranje-Nassau 3 from 1917 to 1973 in Heerlen-Heide, Oranje-Nassau 4 1927 to 1966 in Hexenberg, and Statesmine Emma 1911 to 1973 in Trebeek, then the territory of the municipality of Heerlen. The population increased explosively in a short time, from a village with 6,646 inhabitants in 1900 to a city of 32,263 inhabitants in 1930. Houses, schools, shops and hospitals had to be built, and roads had to be built for all these people from home and abroad, all in a very short time. It is therefore not surprising that few historic buildings have been preserved. In the major change from village to city, they were no longer considered to fit into a modern cityscape, and so they were demolished in 1935. A famous building that was completed, the Glass Palace, by client and local shopkeeper Peter Schunk. The high chimneys at the coal mine were characteristic of Heerlen during the mining period. These chimneys were popularly referred as to Lange Jan and Lange Lies, and were visible from a great distance. In 1958, Palemeer transferred from the municipality of Schaarsberg to the municipality of Heerlen. The discovery of natural gas in Slochteren in 1959 made coal mining unprofitable. In addition, coal shipped from North America was cheaper than Dutch coal. On December 17, 1965, the Minister of Economic Affairs, Joop den Uyl, announced in the Stadsschouwburg of Heerlen the closure of all Dutch coal mines. On December 31, 1974, the Oranje-Nassau Mine 1 was the last one to close the doors. The mine buildings were demolished, but the demolition of the Lange Jan on August 21, 1976 went wrong. It fell the wrong direction on top of the administration building. The offices of the Central Bureau of Statistics were built on the grounds of Oranje-Nassau 1. In 1969, the General Civil Pension Fund has also moved from The Hague to Heerlen. In 1982, the municipalities of Hoensbroek and Heerlen were merged. 21st century. There are a few reminders of the city coal history. The spoils heaps have been excavated and turned into residential areas or parks. The cooling towers and large chimneys have been demolished. The shaft building of the Oranje-Nassau is one of the most eye-catching and immediate remnants and is used as a Dutch mining museum. The neighborhoods that were built in the years before the Second World War also bear witness to that striking period in Heerlen's history. The only remaining spoil heap in its original state is located on the edge of Brunsumerheide, but it's threatened with excavation because it contains valuable silver sand. However, striking buildings have been preserved here and there in Heerlen that recall the time when Heerlen and eastern mining region was a growth area. After years of decay and restoration, the glass palace was put back into use in 2004. Now, as a cultural center, the building is located in the middle of the city, surrounded by three central squares: the Bongert, Market, the Churchplein, Kerkplein, and Emmaplein, now Pancratiusplein. It is a national monument and, according to a ranking by the Union of International Architects, one of the 1,000 most important 20th century buildings in the world. In addition, the building and its restoration have received many awards, one of the aspects in which it was way ahead of its time in its energy consumption. Soon after commissioning, it turned out that the installed heating was not necessary even in the winter, because it works like a greenhouse. At the time, the building was a symbol of Heerlen's rise in the growth of nations, and today it is a symbol of a rebirth after the heyday of the mining industry.